Hey, what's up, you guys? Your boy South Central. We back in the building, and today we got do black people deserve reparations? And we got Charlie Kirk having a conversation with a black student about reparations. And I want to ask you guys: do you believe black folks who are descendants of slavery? Do you believe that they deserve reparation? I have a controversial take about this subject at hand. And I didn't always think this way, but let's get into the content. We got Charlie Kirk on it, baby. Please, man, if you can, like, and subscribe.
Gotta get up on the mic. Oh, mic check, 1 2 1 2. All right, cool. Make sure everybody can hear me. What's going on, man? Doing all right. Welcome to Knoxville. I'm up here for one purpose. My buddy is a friend of yours. He lives up in White Pine, and he wants me to have this discussion with you because me and him had this discussion this weekend. What are your thoughts about reparations for black people specifically, and like black Americans specifically? What is your
Very much against.
Very much against. Can I ask why?
Well, first and foremost, I don't believe that we should ever pay monetary damages to people where nothing bad happened to them, just because they are related to a group of people where something bad happened to them.
Okay, so
because it separates the idea. Let me just finish, and then I'll throw it back to you.
Absolutely.
Our justice system, when properly understood, is about individuals receiving justice, not tribes or groups receiving justice.
Okay. Also, I want to state that just because I am a black man, I do not speak for all black people. So I'm just this.
I like this guy. You should give it up for him.
Just want to state that for the record. I'm speaking for myself. So, all right. So definitely hear you on that. And even for me, when it comes to reparations, for me personally, I don't believe that it should be a check. I think that reparations can look like many different things, whether it's like investment in institutions, more like, better schools, hospitals, all that kind of stuff. So my question to you is like, so since you are against reparations, would you say that we should be would you be for outlawing inherited wealth? Does that make sense?
Well, I'm not for outlawing that. And those are two different things.
Can I explain my point though? All right. So my point to that is that so what I hear for the argument against reparations is that black people today, obviously we weren't there, for slavery, segregation, all of that kind of stuff. So we've done nothing to deserve that, because all the people who should have gotten it, actually not even probably, who should have gotten it, are either long gone or whatever. Now there's still some who are still with us today, but that's a conversation for another day. But my point is that inheritance and inherited wealth is something that the great grandfather, whatever, is passed down. Homeboy who is here today did nothing to deserve that multi-billion-dollar business, but he gets it because of his bloodline. Correct? Is that how it?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
how inheritance works, right?
Yeah, no, like Bronny James is going to get $1 billion.
Right. Yeah. Sorry. Great example. So what I'm saying is that I guess what I'm trying to say is that I believe that reparations in and of itself, one, I don't think that the argument is formed right, and two, I believe that it's kind of a reverse inheritance, if that makes sense, where it's yes, black people's, like me personally, yes, I did not have to suffer through Jim Crow, slavery, or whatever, but all those choices that were made in those times have gotten necessarily me to where I'm at now.
Got it. So let me tell you where we have a difference of opinion.
Okay, absolutely. Absolutely.
So we as conservatives tend to underemphasize this idea of many legacies of suffering, whereas people on the left, not saying you're on the left, but the other perspective.
Definitely not.
No, for sure. But that's fine. No, that's fine. Let's just say the other side of the argument tend to emphasize that you are stuck because of something that happened to you many generations prior. We believe, absent very unique circumstances in the United States of America, that is almost never true. For example,
now I would say that the black young scholar did make a great point, right, when he asked about inheritance. How do you feel about that? And he was totally okay with that, which is fine. But this conversation is so taboo in America because it seems like white conservatives, right, are taking it as a personal thing towards them. Like it's racist. It hurts me. Like you're taking away something from me for something I had nothing to do with, which is understandable. What I want you to understand that the government promised black Americans, right? Because we were American, we still are, right? They promised us 40 acres, a mule, or promised our ancestors who went through these things as far as slavery, but they never got what they were promised by the government, right? You may have not had nothing to do with it. This beef is before our time, right? But it has not been settled, right? Which trickled down to the African American of today, right? We still know what you promised our ancestors, right? Now, I'm not saying I'm for it or against it. I give my opinions about for it or against it after the fact. But I'm saying that we know that that America promised, right? The government, right? Promised our ancestors this specific thing. They didn't get that, which means that a contract was breached. Okay, at some point, I don't know how it was, but it was. They didn't get their due. They didn't get their due process. They didn't get what they deserved, as far as what America said they deserved. In my opinion, this is what, or just factual, right? This is what America promised our people. They didn't give it to us. Fine, okay. Now we're talking about specifically slavery, right? Well, slavery, it happened. This happened to the black community, XYZ. Now, after slavery, you're a descendant of slavery, but you didn't go through slavery. I would say that the black community was indeed targeted by the same government who had us in slavery, if that makes sense to you. And I'll give you several examples, like Martin Luther King, the Black Panther Party, right? Our leaders were targeted in our communities when we were segregated. And I mean, before that time, we were fighting for desegregation when it came to Dr. Martin Luther King. But before that time, when we were segregated, right, we were doing better than white communities, right? Our white American counterparts, if that makes sense. Our communities were continuously disrupted by America's government, which put a halt on our success and our progress and keeping the same mindset, the culture, right? Because now you see there's a culture different. We don't even look the same as far as black culture. We don't even look the same as back then, right? But I will ask you, because the conservative individual mindset, right? Not all, because I am conservative, but I don't think this way. Is pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Just forget about it. Don't hold yourself down. And at some points, I do agree with that. Okay, you can't beg forever. If it ain't happening for you, you got to do something. That's just men shit. You just got to do something. You can't just sit back and hope somebody gonna save you, especially the same government that did this to your community. What I'm saying is that post-slavery, there were still attacks on the African American communities, right? During segregation era, when we were prosperous in this country. I don't know too many countries that's targeted by this government or the CIA or intelligence agencies that pull themselves up by the bootstraps or held to that certain standard to just you were targeted. You know, your leader that had your country going in a positive direction was now, you know, unalived, and this government created a coup. I don't see many of them recovering from that. So why in our country, right, where everybody has a phone and can now understand and look up even declassified information about the FBI going to the black community and letting out drugs, or people testimonies that were around during the 80s, right, creating laws, even though the government dropped the drugs off, and creating laws to prosecute the ones that partake in it, right, which is the black fathers most of the time, especially in the 80s, right? When do we hold our country accountable for the bad doing of these communities? Because now it's happening everywhere. As far as the nuclear family, they're attacking it on every aspect of what made America prosperous. As far as the nuclear family, they're attacking that. They started with us first. We've seen it, right? We can't ignore that. That's very disingenuous, and it's very ugly of a person to ignore that happened, right? You can't just answer somebody and say, just grab yourself up by your bootstraps and just get up. Yeah, I know what happened. No. That don't work like that, because plenty of, I gave this example, you know, during this argument just now. Plenty of countries under the boot of the intelligence of America, as far as the CIA and, you know, three-letter agencies, their influence, they're still in shambles. Why do you expect this community to get up and rock it out as if nothing happened? That's what I want to understand, especially when it comes to reparations and not wanting anything back, because it didn't stop after people just, you know, Abraham Lincoln said, you know what, everybody's free. It didn't stop there. It was plenty of things that had to be fixed. But I would say that due to the 80s, right, and that's not far from now, right? My mom was born and raised in the 80s, so you got to stop that, right? That era, I think it was the most detrimental. We're still getting the result of that era, as far as fatherless households, the drugs, right? Hunter Biden getting away with the same thing that his father locked our parents up for, or our fathers up for, right? we're still recovering from that. We're recovering from our leaders getting taken away from us, right? That's pushing positivity and get up off your butt and do things for your family, right? Family orientation. Before these organizations were corrupted with gangs and things like that, right? They took them out. When are we going to hold America accountable? Because as a conservative myself, I'm holding the government accountable, but you cannot hold them accountable without bringing that up. You can't. And when will the Black America, who was targeted mostly during this time, when will we get our just due? Because I hear both sides. I understand that the Democrats use the plight of what happened to Black Americans to justify Black people voting for the same thing that they're never going to get. I get that. I understand that. I understand that they're using that. But when are we going to start being honest and saying, okay, it was messed up what they did, and I do understand your argument, and I do believe in some point that we need to apologize to these people. We need to apologize to our fellow Americans, because we're Americans. We live, even though we might live in a hood, okay, we still live next to each other. You're just a block away from me. If I really wanted to, speak to you or get to you, we don't really, we don't talk to each other like that, which we should be talking to each other. But if you're coming from a place of trying to understand where somebody's coming from, you have to be open to the conversation. Because I'm from these places where, especially South Central, I'm from the place where what the government has done and placed in our communities, it has made it very difficult for my family and I to be successful, right? And yes, it is our own people at a certain point, but you cannot not point the finger at the government as well. Okay, we perpetuate it, but they bring it to us, and you cannot expect a generation to just say forget what happened to you, forget what happened to you after the fact, and just do good. That's very disingenuous. It's very, and I think we will get nowhere, because you're gonna get the same results with that same mindset. Let's get back into it.
We think every individual should be judged by their own actions, their own character, and their agency. Now let's play this out though. You're acting as if, not you, but let's say the argument, because you're coming after this in a great way, there's been like no money sent Black America the last 60 years. We have spent over $25 trillion on Black America in 60 years, and Black America's poorer than before we started. We're talking about Medicaid, food stamps, we're talking about schools, public housing.
Sorry, I have to stop him there, because that's a very disingenuous argument, because everybody benefited from the Medicaid system, the government assistance system. Everybody benefited from that. It's not just specifically Black people, right? You didn't invest it specifically for Black individuals to thrive in America. So that's very false, and that's a lie. Okay, and this is coming from your conservative brother. I love you, Charlie Kirk, but this is so much a lie. It's ridiculous. It's like saying that, hey, we're going to, due to what we did to the Native Americans, we're going to give everybody land. See, but look, we invested into we invested X amount of money for the Native Americans, even though everybody got land in America. That is ridiculous. That's like what? Like, that's not even a logical argument. And it sucks coming from you, bro. At the end of the day, you did not invest into the Black community. Okay, the government has not. And if you say you did, I am a product of that, which means that it was not for free. All right, this thing was to create, and you can look up literature from the Democratic Party. It was made to make people dependent on the government. It was not just, oh, Black people that went through this XYZ, we promised them this, and let's just give it to them. No. We will be liars and deceitful to say that it was given to these communities just based off of what happened to them, aka reparations. Very much not true. It's just to create permanent I forgot what Democrat that was. Permanent Democrats. And we're gonna get back into it.
Issue is not the amount of money. The issue has instead been a couple things. Number one, it's been the downfall of the Black family. And unfortunately,
yes, I agree with that.
Yeah, the more money we've spent on this, we've seen the downfall of the Black family. Just some numbers super quick. Is that in 1964, right before the passage of the Civil Rights Act, 75% of Black youth had a dad around. Now it's 25%. So only 25%. So 1 in 4 kids have a dad around. We have black dads are no longer a big part of young kids' life. It's a very big problem that has huge ramifications. Then finally, on the reparations argument, that comes into just more like concrete questions. Where do you draw the line? Who defines it? And also, why would you tax, for example, somebody like me? My ancestors fought on the Union side of the Civil War, so I got to go pay more money, even though my ancestors did the right thing. No offense if you guys fought for the Confederacy. That's not trying to, drum up any, it's all good. We're all Americans now. I'm not. Why should I have to then go pay for something that my ancestors did correctly? So 1 in 4 kids have a dad around. We have vacations. Then finally, on the reparations argument, that comes into just more like concrete questions. Where do you draw the line? Who defines it? And also, why would you tax, for example, somebody like me? My ancestors fought on the Union side of the Civil War, so I got to go pay more money, even though my ancestors did the right thing. No offense if you guys fought for the Confederacy. That's not trying to, drum up any, it's all good. We're all Americans now. I'm not. Why should I have to then go pay for something that my ancestors did correctly? Finally,
now on this subject at hand, right? This is what I was talking about when I said that white conservative individuals feel like it's an attack on them. It's my taxes, right? Doge, let's bring it up now, okay? This is a perfect time to bring it up. We're literally paying for things we do not agree with, right? As far as war in other countries, as far as, right? And this is coming from me too, right? This is coming out of my taxes too. It's not just him that it's affecting everyone, right? Transgender books, we wholeheartedly all don't agree with that, right? As far as conservatives. We pay for a lot of things as far as tax dollars that we don't agree with. Foreign wars, the influence on the American influence, or the American influence on other countries. We pay for that. As far as intelligence and coups and things like that, we pay for that. We pay for a lot of things we do not agree with. What's so hard to right the wrong of our ancestors as far as American, the American government? What's so hard to make sure with your American brothers, to make it American brothers and sisters? What's so hard just to make it right? We didn't agree with Ukraine. We sent so much money to them. That could have solved the issue right then and there. We're giving that amount of tax dollars that we gave to them, to the American, the African American descendants of slavery. We could have solved that issue, but it seems like our issues in America are less important to everyone, because it's easier to disagree with that other than disagree with sending money to Ukraine, because that happened. No matter what you agree with or not, I didn't agree with that either. It happened, and it happened right before our eyes. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. I'd rather spend it. I'd rather invest in ourselves, right? Invest in American conflict. As far as our you could have gave it to the military. As far as our veterans, you could have gave it to them. I would have been okay with that. That's my American dollars going to American problems that we need to solve in America, right? I would have been okay with that. Why are we as Americans, right? Why are we so against solving societal issues here when we're trying to solve them somewhere else? Like, yeah, they took our, it's kind of hypocritical. It's like, yeah, they took my money and sent it to Ukraine. Yeah, I'm still complaining about that. But you guys, well, what we did in the past, no. That even though you still arguing and you keep crying about it, the baby keep crying about it. I'm not gonna give the baby the bottle. No, I'd rather just give it to some foreign nation that, even if I don't agree with, I still did it. Like, bro, at this point, do you want to solve the issues or not? Because it's getting out of hand. Like, this stuff keep coming up because, like I said before, this problem has not been solved. It just has not been solved, and we have to be honest. Even if I was a white person, I don't give a crap about skin color. It has not been solved. And I keep saying we because I am a American, a black American. Yes, you promised us. Talking about government, it has nothing to do with Charlie Kirk and his family. None against you. It has nothing to do with you. Move out the way. Okay. You promised us XYZ. Why haven't you put up on your promise? Why? Okay. I get that you shouldn't wait. You shouldn't just, sit on your butt and beg for it. I get it. I understand that part when it comes to conservatives. But you promised these people, you promised this subset of people in your country to make this right, but you did not do it. How can you expect them not to complain, especially if they know? Every generation knows what you promised. That's crazy. You're going to have problems. And it seems like they thrive off this problem because it only benefits the Democratic Party because they're the ones playing on that plight, right? We only got a little bit more, and I'll give you my final breakdown on if African Americans deserve, right? Descendants of slavery deserve reparations. And please tap the like button and subscribe.
It's like, how do you prove it? Prove it. Like, this is not your argument, but it's a hilarious contradiction. The very same people who tell you that voter ID is racist want all of a sudden Black America to prove that they're the descendants of slaves 7 generations ago. Like, let me go get my paperwork together. I thought it's racist to ask people for their paperwork. Anyway, the whole thing's crazy. But here's the more important thing that I think we can agree on.
Okay.
That we should have a opportunity colorblind compact. We need to have school choice in this country so kids can go to better schools and have more mobility. Number 2, reconstitute the Black family. And finally, this is one that you might agree on because you're not a liberal, is that we need to no longer import foreigners that are going to undercut the wages of workers of all races, especially Black Americans.
I agree.
And so what we've done is we imported Nicaraguans and Guatemalans to come take low-wage labor, and we didn't want to pay our own Americans those jobs. So final thoughts on those points.
Also, great points. I would say that I am with you for the idea of a colorblind society. I think it's a bit of a farce to say that colorblind society is something we should aspire to, but I think it's a farce to think that it doesn't exist, that race doesn't play a factor. I totally
agree.
Okay, and so
I will say it plays far less of a factor 10 years ago. It's playing more of a factor today.
Yes, I agree.
In a negative way.
Yes, I 100%. I mean, I think you had mentioned something about DEI like earlier, and I was like, for sure, like the way I agree with DEI in principle, but I think the way it's been instituted by our government and all the other institutions is completely wrong. So, because for me, it's not about seeing color; it's how you treat color. Does that make sense?
Everyone's going to see color. And
exactly,
you're right. And so it's an ideal that is admirable, being colorblind.
Right.
The problem with what we were promised with the Civil Rights Act, we were promised a colorblind society. We now have a color-obsessed society. And it's a breakdown of that promise. Instead, the country I grew up in, at least, was like, yeah, you're Black, but it doesn't matter. It's not the most important thing. Instead, it's, are you a good person? How do you act? How do you treat other people? Are you a Christian? Like, what is your worldview? I want to get back to that. Of course, we're still going to see differences, but I want to de-emphasize them to a place where we look at each other as fellow human beings.
With his last statements, I could totally agree with that. We are racist. We are color obsessed, and we need to do away with that. But his solution that he gave were better for America. Right? It wasn't just specifically for Black people. And I'm bringing up this argument because Black people are the ones with the problem. They're the ones that keep coming to you with the same problem. And it seems like it's like their voice is not being heard. And I'm saying this because I'm an American, right? Yes, I'm a Black American, but I hear what both sides are saying. But you cannot skip over the information I just gave you in order to fix the problem here. Right now, when it comes to Black men in the household, everybody agrees with more Black men need to be in the household. But who took them out of the household? The Black community as well. But who influenced it? Just like that same culture is being influenced in America. It's not a Black people issue anymore. It's becoming an American issue now. It's happening everywhere. The influence of the government pushing this agenda, given to by who? If you know, right? Rock. So my thing is this: how do you reconcile the differences? How do you fix the anger and greed that African Americans have when it comes to that, how their ancestors or how our ancestors were done? How do you get to the nitty gritty of fixing the issue instead of saying there is no issue? Be quiet. There is no issue. Just like people were saying that these things, just like conservatives were saying that these things are happening in schools, and then you got the lefties saying no, it's not happening. Well, book burning. No, it's not about book burning. What books are we burning here? What books do we not want to be heard here? Censorship. See, disingenuous. We need to get down to the nitty gritty in order to solve these problems, because these problems gonna keep coming up. And I don't give a crap what you say or what I say. They're probably gonna keep coming up. It'll create more anger in these generations due to not fixing the problem here, right? Now, what I think about reparations, I do think America need to make do on their promises to the Black descendants of slavery, right? You promised our ancestors something, you didn't give it to them, make it fair, make it right, so we can stop complaining about it. That's another part in history. America's great again, make America great again, great. We can all move on now. We gave through on our promises. Has nothing to do with a white person paying taxes more. I had nothing to do with it. We all pay taxes. We all give into things that we don't agree with. Great, I get it. Now, on a personal level, speaking to the black community now, and this is, and I know a lot of black people are not gonna like what I have to say, but this is honestly true. Me, outside of being an American, right, being a black person, being a descendant of slavery, right, I don't believe that modern day African Americans deserve reparations. Why? The reason is because we don't look the same as our ancestors. What that means, we don't value the same things, right? We don't have the same mindset of our ancestors, right? We're not family oriented. We did away with that. We hurt each other more than anything, right? And I come from a community where it's only black folks hunting black folks, bro. It's hurt. Why do we deserve to benefit off our ancestors' plight when they were family oriented, when it was all for only us, right? As far as doing what's best for the community, doing what's best for us in troubling times, right? We could depend on each other. We could depend on each other. If I can't run nowhere, I know my people gonna treat me good. I know I'm gonna be treated well. I can run to these folks. They're gonna protect me. I'm gonna protect them. I'm willing to go to be unalive for this movement here. And it's not a movement. It's not a woke movement. I'm saying that my skin color, bro. We want to live here, right? We want to live freely. We want to be left alone. And if we're not gonna get left alone, I'm gonna force you to leave me alone, bro. And if you don't want my business, I'm gonna create my business. We are not these people anymore. We are not these people. So why should we benefit from those people? Because if our ancestors were alive, they would be ashamed of us, or even terrified of us, because these YNs, you can't tell them nothing. You more if they were to come back and tell them that they're wrong, they'd probably get dealt with because the thing with a switch on it, huh? You know, violence towards one another. They couldn't even tell you nothing about it. You couldn't even tell you about yourself. Okay, so we don't deserve it. Honestly, we don't deserve it. And if we do get it, if you fighting off our ancestors' plight, if we do get it for them, on the behalf of our ancestors, right? Because we didn't go through it. Thank God we didn't go through it. Right? We are descendants of that, and some of it did trickle down to, as far as the government attacks on the black community, it did trickle down to us, right? Yeah, some of us made it out, some didn't, but you cannot take that outside of. You cannot take it for what it was, right? We didn't make it up. Neither Charlie Kirk or me did it. Did we make it up? No. Did we want that to happen? No. It happened though. It happened. I'm sorry, but if we're fighting on the plight of our ancestors and we're trying to get their get back in latest terms, we're trying to get their get back. If we get it, we should just give it to them then. Just put it in their grave sites, bury it because they deserved it. If we really fighting for the honor and not fighting for ourselves, we fighting for the due process and what they deserved. Right? If we really fighting for that and we really want that for them, let's dig it up. Let's dig their grave sites up. You know what I'm saying? And throw a little bit of that. Throw everything in there because that's what they deserved. Okay. Right now we don't look the same. We don't even act the same. They would be turning around in their graves if they seen what we did as far as unaliving each other and unaliving our black babies in the womb. We're not doing the bidding of our ancestors, but we want to benefit from their plight, which means it's disingenuous as well coming from our side. We fight so hard for the reparations because we know it benefit our pockets. We want a leg up because of our ancestors' plight. But why not treat each other right? Why not do what they fought for? Okay, we don't want to talk about that though. We just want what was due, right? But that's very disingenuous on our side, man. And I think that we need to look deeper into ourselves and see how we can get better as a people. And get back to what our ancestors fought for, as far as family, as far as the right to live, as far as the right to be respected in this country and compete, right? Let me know what you guys think, man. This is a very tough situation, a very tough conversation, but it needs to be had, man. I don't know if I changed your mind. I don't know if I made you look at it differently, but if you feel some type of way, just let me know. I'm cool to answer. I'm not no bigger than anybody, man. If you can, please like, comment, subscribe, and I will answer. Comment, bro. South Central. We be really politicking while we whipping in the kitchen. God be my witness. At the age of 15, I was fighting my fitness. My life so